You're live.
This is Yoram Miller. I call to order the November 10th, 2021 meeting of the Village of Mamaroneck Board of Ethics. And with that, I'm glad I see everyone here. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
And my goal would be, we'll just take care of some basic stuff first, which is approval of the last sets of minutes for the last 3 times we've met. Then I'd like to see if anybody has any thoughts in terms of additional follow-up with the ad hoc committee based on our meeting, which I thought was pretty productive last week. And then we'll go into executive session to talk about the one open issue that we still have to figure out how to deal with, which is a request for an advisory opinion that we received last month. So with that, I think I sent around this morning copies of the last 3 sets of minutes that Sherry had prepared. And let me just pull those up myself so I'll get the dates right. And we'll go first to the September 29th minutes. Does anybody have any edits or suggestions on those minutes?
I move that they be adopted.
I second.
All in favor of adopting the September 29, 2021 minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously
Aye.
carried. We'll do the exact same thing now with, gee, I did it. The October 12th minutes. Does anybody have any edits or suggestions to the minutes? Hearing none, does somebody want to move to adopt the minutes?
I was so moved.
I'll second. Oh, Alan seconds, and all in favor of adopting the October 12th minutes? Aye.
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 Unanimously carried as well. And then finally, we have our most recent minutes from November 1st. And again, unless anybody has any comments, let's just go ahead and we'll move to adopt those.
Okay.
Motion?
Yeah, November 1st meetings, yeah, it was already done. They say upon motion and seconded the meeting. Oh, that was adjourned. Sorry, forget it.
So Jeff, you want to make the motion? Or
Sure, I move that they be adopted.
I second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Thanks, everybody.
Do we
and
have to, what are we going to do about all those disclosure forms?
That's what we'll talk about those in executive session.
Oh, okay.
And then we also have the one advisory opinion matter that we'll cover in executive session. The one sort of piece of paperwork that we haven't put together yet, and I've made some progress on it, and I'll get it to everybody over the weekend, is we're supposed to submit an annual report. And so when we get into executive session, I have a couple questions about that I don't think we can discuss publicly. And then if anybody has any thoughts about things we definitely want to include, let me know. For me, the last order of business before we go into executive session is, just like I said, I thought it was a productive meeting we had with the ad hoc committee last week. If anybody has thoughts about topics we want to follow up with them, things that, you know, with the advantage of a few days of hindsight, we might want to bring up again, any things that didn't seem right to you, you know, either let us know now or we can cover it at the next meeting. But
I thought that Susan, I thought the one glitch, that I thought Susan's idea of adding to that paragraph, and then Dan said, well, that's the constitutionally too vague and et cetera. I thought he was a little stubborn on that. And particularly since he's going to give this to a expert legislative writer, I think that they could have put in nice language. This is not uncommon to say such as, but not, you know, not limited to. And so I thought I got the impression of there was, and I watched a couple of meetings too, and I thought that there was a little stubbornness there, but that's my only glitch.
Well, does that mean that you think we should push back a little more on that?
I think it's an important item. I thought it was pretty clear what you said. You know, what I was trying to say to him before, but I didn't want to get into a legal argument with him. I mean, he said, well, I'm an attorney and that's too vague. I think, you know, codes and statutes are read strictly, and Yoram can attest to that. And so if you don't include some other kind of language, then it's strictly limited to what's on the printed page. And so I thought, Sue, your idea was excellent. And even though I spouted, like in like manner, yeah, that phrase is too vague, but certainly something can be written so it's not vague. And I thought he was a little stubborn on that point. And I think it's an important point, frankly.
Is it worth just keeping a running tab of open issues that we have with it? Let it see what comes back from the legal expert who's going to write it. Because the legal expert may pick up on these things as just run of the mill. And maybe we're picking up details that he's not, doesn't need to focus on.
Yeah, I think this is probably our one time to do that. Once the Board of Trustees sort of blesses it in concept, I don't think there's gonna be much of a chance to change anything for another 20 years. So if it's something we care about, this is probably the time to do it. So
I won't be on the committee, Yoram.
we'll all be term limited out by then. So
And Sally won't be entering us either.
I still think it's something that needs to be in the code.
yeah, we'll decide on a message we'll send them at the next meeting, and we'll include that in what we send. So I like that idea.
Sherry, did you feel like they addressed or had some sense of how to address your concern about the conflicts?
Well, I think his answer was, well, you just run it by the ethics committee and someone, or the Board of Trustees, and somebody from the village will decide whether you can or cannot take that job. And no offense, but if I get offered a job in a week from a vendor I've used, a sound vendor, I'm not going to ask the village for permission to take that job. So,
If you're going to take the job, then you're going to submit a note to the Board of Ethics that says, by the way, I'm taking this job. Do you have a problem with it?
Right.
And
Yep.
they're either going to get back to you or they're not, but you're just going to do the work, right?
yeah, for the lawyers in the group, if I take a job with a sound vendor who has supplied stages for us for our summer concert series, and the village comes back and says, no, you really shouldn't take that job, they can't legally tell me that I can't take a job. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't see the point.
I
No,
think they
but-
can technically fine you. I don't know what else they could do, but there still is, I mean, who doesn't
No,
do
she
it,
could, she could be in violation of the ethics thing on this board, but the fact is, we won't do that to you. But
No, that's not the point.
no, I realize that.
That's very nice of you.
No, but I think the reason is they want to, it's again, one of these situations where most of the time these relationships aren't unethical, but they have to put it in because so that you don't make a deal with somebody, I'm going to do this for you, and then you get to give me a job. And that would be sort of, it's not the kind of thing that you're talking about. It could be another thing that we would all, it would be obvious, I think.
Right.
That was the problem that I thought we tried to convince them, and I don't know how much headway we made. I'm optimistic it actually did sort of.
Well, I actually thought that they said that, no, I understand what Cherry's thinking about. Like, you don't want to make your livelihood dependent upon somebody who may have, doesn't want you to do something, just wants to be mean or something. But, there was an escape clause from that within the 2 years. And I was comfortable enough to wait to see, we're all thinking about what if this and what if that, but, go take your job. It's probably not going to be anything like what they're trying to prohibit. But there was an escape clause. They said, yeah, check with us. And you're right, the timing is, you shouldn't have to ask somebody for, in a month to give you approval about whether you can take a job. It's going to be time sensitive. But, go back to them afterwards and then see what happens. It won't, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. I think people are going to rubber stamp these jobs unless something looks bad, in which case they've got some jurisdiction.
Well,
Yeah, I have
things,
two
though,
issues with what they're doing that we talked about. The first one is just by putting it out there, I think it deters people from wanting to participate as much as they could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And secondly, and this is where I thought we were making progress, we'll see where they come back with. If it's a land use board and they shouldn't be dealing with permits, I completely get the 2-year period there. If it's like the Arts Council example that came up, it doesn't seem like there's that big an issue of the members of the Arts Council being bribed here. And so I just wish they would.
And
hear
even
it
if
in a
we
way that-
are, I mean, you know,
No, but what are you saying? Are you saying that there are situations that you think it's fair to have this in there for?
Absolutely, but I
Yeah.
think they are the exception. And it's way too broad a net that's been cast.
I think, well, two things. I think you brought it up, Yoram, maybe that the permission per se should not go to the Board of Trustees, who's a political board. I think it should go to Ethics
I
Committee.
think actually that was Susan's point that pushed
Oh,
that
Susan,
hard.
yeah, good point, and I agree. The second thing is, and I believe we had a question, and I'll just speak of it in broad terms about, you know, firemen and policemen traditionally have other jobs and businesses like window businesses and construction businesses and things like that. And this could get murky, you know, but these people run their businesses in this village. They live in this village. We all know each other. We all work for each other. We all, you know, and then Susan, I agree with you 100%, and I understand why this is in there, but I think that it's going to get murky because.
Well, you know, when we go into executive session, I'm going to say something about that, but I don't want to say it now.
And then the other thing which we've seen, thankfully, we haven't witnessed it during our tenure. The ethics board gets to be political and people make very petty complaints to try to sort of go after perceived enemies or political opponents. And this is inviting somebody to say, oh, so-and-so was moonlighting on this job and they didn't get permission. We want a ethical finding against them. And again, we don't want those sort of clouds hanging over people. So I'd really rather they limit, which I understand it's a good policy, but limit it to just the few places that actually make sense.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
Why wouldn't someone just report it? I mean, I'm looking at the forms and we only have certain people that report outside an employer or business. And real estate ownership. You know, there's certain boards, we're one of them, and the land use boards. Why wouldn't you just report it to the ethics committee? And if they determined that there was a conflict, then the ethics committee would get involved. I mean, it's pretty simple, straightforward, seems to me. So you take the job and you report it, and if they say it's a violation, then you probably can't serve on the committee anymore, period.
Right,
You know?
right. See, that's
Big deal.
my thing. You just don't serve on the committee anymore.
Yeah.
So, and leave it at that.
Yes.
I agree with you, Yoram, to ask for permission from something. First of all, to get an answer from the building department, you know, kind of, sort of thing, it will take you a long time. So I don't think that should be, and you're right, it could be used for political purposes. So I think it should just be reporting, just like our annual forms.
And then we limit it to a very few people. Like I think the
Yeah,
board
like
of trustees should be subject to this, but I don't know sort of how deep we need to go, and maybe some of the land use board.
Well, you start with the, I'm looking at one of these forms. You start with village attorney and village, clerk, treasurer, village manager, land use boards, ethics board. I think it should be pretty simple. They're overthinking it.
Makes sense. Are you guys ready to jump into executive session so we can?
Oh,
get
wait,
some-
I'm just dying to. It's like going into the pool.
I was gonna say the same thing. Can't wait.
Oh, I love the enthusiasm. Let's do it. So I move to adjourn the general session to go into executive session.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
All right, I'll talk to you guys very soon.
Do we have a link for that?
You should have received it. I'll stay on until you confirm you have one.
Hold on.
I just sent it, Alan, but I can send it again.
Oh, I have it. Okay.
Alan, do you need me to send it again?
Yeah, I don't have it.
I'm happy to. Okay.
Thank you.
Jeff, do you have yours?
Wait a minute, I don't know yet. Let me see what I'm doing here. I forgot, I gotta leave this sucker.
All right, Alan, hopefully you'll join us soon.
Okay,
No
Sent
link.
it to both Alan and Jeff again.
Great. Thanks, Sally.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I'll see you
I'll
there.
stay on
No, I
here,
got it.
Alan, if you have it.
I
Okay,
got
good.
it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sally, are you still there?
I am, Yorm.
I'm having trouble getting into the executive session. It's indicating the meeting hasn't started yet.
Okay. Robert, can you go back in there and Yorm saying that it says the meeting's not started? I had to have Robert set it up for me because I was on this one
No
because
problem.
I
Great.
forgot.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. You see that they're going in? Okay, good. Ouch, banging it to the wall.
What do you like? Oh, did you say Zell you $4?
$4 for that, if you don't mind, please. Oh, you can sell it, yeah. What, Robert?
What do I need to do here? I've never done this.
Well, as long as you're not listening to them,
I happen to not listen.
you could just, yeah, and you're not, your video's not on, you could just minimize your screen, yeah. This is page 10 and 11. Right. Hey, call you back. Oh, okay, good. No worries. Thanks. Bye. Where's hair look beautiful. Oh, you didn't see it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Laura.
It was though like shorter.
Yeah.
It wasn't her normal cut.
No, it was shorter than normal.
Yeah.
Get it layered?
Yeah, it's later.
It was kind of like get it like up there lower.
Who? We used to get it.
Like longer and then shorter.
Was it like
Longer
that?
and then short. Yeah, like I forgot which side, but it
It's,
looks really
it's like
good.
that. Yeah, I thought it looked really good too.
Yeah, maybe it looks like they're like sour.
No, she doesn't really.
So. No. What about these? I'm gonna look at this looks good.
Ah. Yeah, take them home.
I'm gonna give this. You don't go, you haven't gone in a while, right? No, that's what Jonathan and I did. You know, I'm so glad
And I
it's
have
here.
to,
I think the case size, so.
Sure, but-
Oh, here?
Yeah.
And I also.
Oh, yeah, this will go to her too.
Let's make a bag.
Look at this one.
Look at this one. You don't like 10-inch ones. Don't rip my phone.
I have a bag right here.
Oh, okay. You don't need it?
No.
I'm not there. I'm just saying, you look at who's copy.
There. Do you think he's made anything? You gonna give out your pants?
No.
Oh, yeah.
How do you move this stuff up here? But you can leave it down there. Yeah, I got the. Ooh.
But most of them, there's a claim. So that I keep that tally. Oh, gotcha, okay.
She's over here smelling food. She's not doing that, is she?
She, between you, well, mostly Maria, and then I brought, because I was so
I
hungry.
gave her those, just a couple of those teeny little things.
That's good. But then I brought leftover like polio mozzarella just so I had something else to nibble at work. And she loves that. So she's been getting her fill.
Why was she wet yesterday or the other day?
Because she rolls around in the wet grass in the morning. So that's her shower. And my feet, my sneakers were soaking wet. I had to change. So when I'm at home at my kitchen counter, I'm cooking, I'm preparing, whatever. She'll know that I'm unwrapping the Parmesan or the mozzarella. She'll just know. So I don't do that here, right? I'm at work. She's been at work so many times, never cheese. So I start on my desk unwrapping the cheese. She's fast asleep. She just knows that there's cheese there.
She just liked me.
No, you can't have any more. Grandma said no. That's
Okay,
a cute pajama.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
Mama, it's cool.
Yourself? Buy a store.
I make it,
So,
but it's so easy. I just boil some chicken, grate some vegetables, mix it up. Put a thing of pumpkin in there, because that is good. And that's it. Oh, olive oil.
Okay.
I mean, she's unreal. This one.
Oh, let me call her, make sure it was Frank. Spat. What? Oh, well, I never told him. He might have been to give free samples. Fred. Hey, Joan. It's Sally again. I just want to make sure. You said Frank, right? Was his father's name? Good, because I didn't write it down. I just make sure. Okay, good. Thank you. Well, you know what? You might be having a better time at home alone. You enjoy. Okay, bye. And then, and then if somebody buys, they could just take them. Or somebody just takes my bush. Okay.
It's like a Larry David episode.
Hey, Court. Because they're different. He said, no, he said he needed both. Yeah, that's what he said. That's why I sent him. Okay, thanks. Bye. Clark. And properties. Paper source. Yeah, and the paper? I wanted to give away one of these. Oh, I don't know if he wants this. He said they're good though because they float. Did you get another chair? Or is that get another chair? Oh, that's the old one. Yeah, you don't have a back, but you're gonna have a seat soon, maybe next week. Still going, still going. Elena, I ordered more bags and batteries for Tommy. So if you see him come in, the batteries are from Amazon. The bags are from Bike Co or whatever. Racing company. Email. Oh, I was gonna say something. Yeah, I don't know. She said that if you go to the website, that there was like a planning secretary or something, and it doesn't go there anymore. Right, but like it should it link to a, should you click on it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna mail these messages to whoever mailed me the check, right? Didn't say anything. Yeah, it's James Romanelli, Stephen Funeral Home, Ozone Park, New York. Have to put these face up now or face down. So you have to put the newest one on top. Or else the numbers, unless I just do, if I do 10, it'll be fine. If you do more than 10, it's gonna take. So if you have 10 and you just grab a bunch of papers, not knowing, and you put them in upside down, it's gonna take a later number before it takes the earlier number. Because the numbers are out of.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
But we still know that that's the reason.
Right, but the number's gonna be all wacky. I'm just gonna count 10. It worked out, whatever, they're right. I like them better face up, because then you don't have to flip them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you grab more than the number you need.
Right.
From 6 to 15. Thank you. Is that when I brought back from Spain? No. Did the concert music? Yeah, it's when I brought back from Spain. Yeah, Vittoria Carpinelli. 6 to 15. Jeez, my knee is just killing me today. Oh, yeah, it's to mail it to them, I think. Yes.
Where's your, what's the number start with now?
06? Oh, I have them on my desk, I'll let you know. And then do you want this paper from the funeral home?
Yeah,
Ordered them?
yeah. Okay, so 20206, okay. I think I have them locked in down.
You want this? What's his name? It's weird on here. What does it spell it?
Oh, the funeral?
C-A-R.
INELL. Oh, sugar.
don't know.
It'll be on the calendar.
Robert,
Hmm,
is the mayor having open hours? Do we know?
I haven't heard anything about that.
We haven't heard anything yet. It'll be on the calendar when he does. He does it right now, but I can take. if he wants to. Pick him up for a bunch. A crazy guy? Oh, yeah, thanks.
No, very nice.
Very nice, crazy person. Mayor's office, Sally Roberts. Okay, can I have your name, please? Could you spell that for me? I'm sorry. Oh, Caesar. Thank you, thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't get, what do you want to speak to him about? Okay, all right. Oh dear. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh dear. Oh, no, we shouldn't. Did one of our building inspector? Yeah, did they come out? Okay. Charlotte Mountain, did you leave a message for her specifically? Oh, you did? Okay, so you spoke to them or you left messages? Right. But it's not because of Con Ed and the flood, right? Or yes? Right. Oh. Okay, good. But then they cut it after again? They cut it? Right, right, not Con Ed, right. Okay, all right, Mr. Gilliam. That sounds crazy. Okay. Yeah. Right, right. Oh, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Would it be, because he's not around very much because he does have a full-time job, could he call you? Okay. Do you know if they have a demolition permit? Do you have a lease? Yeah, oh my goodness, all right, okay. Yeah. Do you know his name? I don't know him, okay. I remember, yeah, I lived across the street from one of his buildings. I grew up across the street on Grand Street from one of his buildings. But he died, right? Oh, no, did he move to Texas? He did one of two, I don't remember.
Did he move? Do you know? His mother died. Okay. No, because I am also friends with a friend of mine's mother is his girlfriend, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, he was great. That's nice. No, it doesn't make sense to you. Okay, I have your number just because I have caller ID as 370-0545. That's the best number to get back to you. Okay, my name is Sally Roberts. I'm the deputy clerk and secretary to the mayor. I'm gonna let the mayor know. I'm gonna try to get some background information and I will ask him to call you. Okay, Caesar? I'm gonna let the village manager know because they report to him. So I'm gonna send an email to both the village manager and the mayor. I'll copy Frank and Dennis. Yeah, so they do know it's being escalated. Right, right. Well, good for you. Oh, how nice. Congratulations. Yeah, I understand some level of comfort to know that they're not going to burn the house down. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And right. But when do you want that? It doesn't really matter. But so you said you have another full year till the end of 2022? Okay. All right. Yeah. 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 You don't sound that old. Yep. Nothing is really though, right? Good for you. Okay. All right. I'm gonna email them now, and I am gonna copy Frank and Dennis so they understand it's been escalated. And either Jerry Barbario, he's the village manager, or the mayor will get back to you.
Tell Sally.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
Sally, we're back.
Hi, sweet girl. How are you?
You got the ability to mute
This is
Sally.
paper.
No, we can't.
Paper's not
She has to
delicious.
do it herself. Finally.
All right.
All right, so
Are you going home?
Me, no.
Are you going for a walk? Oh, you came back.
And I told Maria that she has difficulty.
Oh, wait, she is
What was she giving her?
muted, but we
Oh,
can.
people
hear
food
her.
or dog treat?
no, I don't think she
And
is
then
muted.
also.
Well, on the participants, it
Yeah,
says,
just tell her you can't. And I won't either. I'll take a break.
Yeah,
Tell her you told me and
Send
you know,
her-
so we both have to take a break.
since she's leaving today, I'll just wait till next time she comes. And
All right. No food, people.
much for working from home, right?
Yeah.
She has issues.
Do you want to take these things with you to give to your daughter?
Sally.
These puppy treats?
Oh,
Hi, this is
All
yours.
right.
Just let Sally know that we're on the open Zoom session, so I just want to make
Yeah.
sure she's muted so she doesn't say anything we don't need to learn.
That's
And then-
pooping trouble.
Yeah, so-
All right.
Yeah, thanks if you just let her know. Thanks.
We are here.
This is a little too
Um,
much.
Just
Oh, okay. I'll be right there. Can I, I'm sorry.
All right, so the one thing I do want to discuss a little bit in open session is whether there's anything that we think should go into the annual report beyond the stuff that we're required to disclose, which is basic stuff like how many advisory opinion requests did we get, and how many investigations did we conduct, and how many complaints did we receive. Beyond that, we're expected to comment on changes we recommend to the code. I think it's just a convenient time to talk about what the ad hoc committee, our discussion with the ad hoc committee and some of the suggestions that you guys have come up with, including the suggestion today that maybe for a lot of the employment related issues in the 2-year wait period, maybe just making it a disclosable event similar to other disclosures that have to be made, as opposed to something that actually the boards have to get affirmative approval for. And I think if we limit that to make that applicable to everybody below, to me, the land use boards and the board of trustees are the two obvious places that I think the 2-year waiting period might make sense.
Yeah.
But certainly those are things. Is there anything else that you guys want to include or reference in the annual report?
Having not seen previous annual reports, I don't really know offhand, but should what's in the annual report be defined in the ethics code? Should it be
It
there?
is.
That
The code has a very boilerplate requirement. That's sort of the obvious things I just ticked off.
Okay.
But then historically, the Board of Ethics kind of slept on this obligation and really didn't file them very often. And then last year's was a very robust report because there was a lot going on that related to the Board of Ethics at the time. And it was viewed that it was important to clarify what the Board of Ethics was and wasn't doing. So last year's report was a real anomaly, and it went into a lot of detail and addressed a lot of concerns village-wise that I don't think we need to do again. So I have no plan to issue that sort of response to public perception about what we're doing. I think we've sort of gone back under the radar compared to a year ago.
Plus, it probably resulted in the appointment of the committee to revise the code.
Oh, we actually were commenting on the ad hoc committee in the last annual report. They'd already been appointed.
I don't remember that, but
I actually thought Mark Ettinger was the one who did the bulk of the drafting, and I thought it was a very effective way that he addressed all the issues in a way that I thought was remarkably neutral considering what he was going through. So I was very impressed with the way Mark put it together. Thankfully, like I said, I don't think we have the same challenges this year that there were.
So are you saying that the only thing that we would report about our recommendations to the ad hoc committee would be the thing about employment and not
Well,
about
I
the other?
think it's worth mentioning our concerns about the record keeping. I think that's something that's good to raise generally and not limited to just the ad hoc committee, that whether the Board of Trustees can understand that concern. I think the issue of people not complying with disclosure obligations remains an issue, and I think it's fair to say the ad hoc committee is addressing it. And we recognize their concerns. We also do feel like maybe the fine structure that was being recommended was a bit excessive, and I think that's one we may want to go on record on as well. And if there are more general things that we feel make sense for us to address, this is a fair time to do it. So whatever it may be that sort of would come from the Board of Ethics as a group, if there's something you think it makes sense for us to share, this is our one chance a year to do that.
don't we put in statistics as well, Yorm?
We will, but those
How many people have requested advisory opinions and how many times we've met, how many here, that sort of stuff.
yep, the number
I
of
think it's important because some people don't realize how much work that the Board of Ethics does and how many times we have to meet. And it's sort of interesting because years ago, I was on a prior ethics board for this village and I was appointed. And several years later, I got invited to a Board of Trustees meeting and they gave me a certificate for participating when there were no meetings ever held.
I bet you I know who was the mayor then.
Actually, I don't remember who was, no, it wasn't Paul Noto. It was post Noto, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
So nobody wants to add that piece about other kinds of personal relationships as prohibited? Nobody wants to say anything about that?
I'm just trying to think of what we want to say. That's the only thing. I think it's captured in the general. You shouldn't be doing anything that has the appearance of impropriety. And certainly giving favors to somebody that you have a relationship with, or supervising somebody that you have a relationship with. All those, I think, have the follow the appearance requirements. But I don't know if we should,
I know
what to say beyond that.
it's very tacky to think about, but it also feels like a huge hole because it's not explicit.
Why don't we do this? Let me try to write a sentence or two about that in our recommendations. And we'll plan on Wednesday to talk that through and see if we can get to a place that we think we're adding to the
That's a good idea.
Wednesday, meaning next week at 1:30.
Yeah.
1:15?
1:15.
Yeah, 1:15.
Is
Okay,
that the
good.
primary thing that we're doing next week? Is there anything else on your agenda?
The decision we just reached in the executive session about the advisory opinion, I'll write something up for that and hopefully we can finalize the language there.
What did
So-
Dan Parsons say about the line that says the Board of Ethics will be dissolved?
Oh, that's actually referring to the Board of Ethics as of 1980, when they formed the original code.
Right.
Oh.
Should be clearer, though.
Yeah, because the way it reads now,
Yeah, we misread it.
and the record keeping in terms of the disclosure forms and everything, keeping that with the clerk, right?
Absolutely. I think all of our records should be kept somewhere that there's going to be continuity. And I think only the village as an entity can have that continuity. We can't leave it with.
Oh, and the
with Board of-
definition of confidential, we
I
talked
need
about.
to work on something for that. That's more for, I think, the ad hoc committee than something that we'll address in the annual report. But
Oh, well, yeah, definitely.
and then the other thing we can cover next week is what specifically do we want to follow up with the ad hoc committee? Are there specific items we want to raise again? Sally, are you still with us?
Going out for a walk.
I am Yorm, and I'm sorry I didn't unmute myself.
No, I
Or
didn't.
mute
I just
myself.
didn't want you to say anything that we learned more than we need to know. So I was glad you didn't say anything. So, can you just let me not end the session when you end the stream? I just want to speak to one person, so it won't be an open set meeting selection.
Okay. I will end the meeting, but it might kick everyone off. I'm not sure.
Okay, so there's no way to end just the stream.
Let's see, pause. Oh, yes, pause, stop recording.
So don't do that yet. I want to make sure we formally.
Okay, let me know when
Any
you're
other
ready.
business we need to cover before we adjourn for the day. Okay, hearing that, I
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second,
all in favor, aye.
All right.
Sally, if you could just end the stream, and Jeff, I have 2 seconds. It's easier just to do it this way than go ahead and call.